Hey everybody, happy Wednesday evening. Live tutorial stream. How's everybody doing wherever you are out there on the internet tonight? So good to be here with all of y'all. Hope everyone had a good Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and I'm excited to be with you this evening for this project. This is one we've done before, but as a person who grew up with kind of just a fiber arts hobby background, this is one of those that I really like. So I always enjoy, taking the time to just sort of, refresh it and put it back on stream again. So this is Intro to Crochet with beads and fiber, and seriously, this is literally the simplest crochet you can possibly do. Okay, it's just a chain stitch. So any of you out there who are actually fiber arts people, it's the foundation row. It's not even a full blanket, it's just the beginning of the blanket. Like it's you cannot get any easier than this, which is fantastic because it makes a really cool textural necklace, bracelet. You can do this as a multi-strand bracelet, you can do this as part of like a diversified project, but it's kind of cool to see the texture of the fiber combined with the texture of the beads. It's also a way to stretch your beads depending on how many stitches you put in between each bead. You can take a much smaller amount of beads than would normally typically make a necklace, and you can make them into a full 16 or 18-inch necklace strand. So let's talk beads, let's talk tools and materials, which does include beads, for this evening's tutorial. So as far as materials go, you are going to need a button for your closure. You're gonna need some fiber, and I'm gonna try and do actually a mixture of this silk fiber and this metallic fiber. I have no idea what that's gonna look like, if it's gonna be good, bad, or terrible, but I think I'm gonna try that. So I have fiber. When you are doing this, so if I were just using a single fiber, what I would actually do is like one would do if one were crocheting off a skein of yarn. I would work off of the spool. Since I am actually, I can probably still work off of the spools, honestly. I'm just gonna have to coordinate the two spools together, which may be interesting. I wonder. I'm just sitting here going, do I want to add anything else to this? It's like, apparently I'm in that place today where I'm like, I want to add all the fibers, all of them together, because that metallic is really subtle. Okay, I shall ponder that while I am telling you about the rest of the tools and supplies. So you're going to need fiber. Now, if you're going to work off of a spool, then usually whatever comes on your spool is going to be more than sufficient. If, however, you're planning to actually cut off, like if you're either buying footage or if you are going to pull something off so you can double it or whatnot, you're gonna need about 6 to 8 times your finished length, whatever your finished length is that you're going for. So if you're going for 18 inches, just because that's a really easy number, so 6 to 8 times that length, which means that if you're doing 18 inches, what is that? So 2 is 3 feet, so 9 feet approximately of cord to make an 18-inch necklace. And it's never a bad idea, as with a lot of these things that we do, it's never a bad idea to have some extra. So you're going to need your cord. You're going to need your beads. You want something that's got a hole that's big enough to easily thread onto your cords. So metal beads are always good. These are some tie metal in a dark kind of gunmetal finish. And that's it. As far as supplies go, you need a button, you need your fiber, and you need your beads. As far as tools go, you're going to need a small crochet hook. So anything of, you know, in like this smaller steel crochet hook size is going to work fine. You may need a tweezers for pulling things through. You probably won't, but it's never a bad idea to have it around. You are going to need a sharp scissors, which I may or may not have. Well, I have a metal shear, so we're going to call that good. Was that Jenny?
Yep.
Cool. And you are going to need some hypo cement. So I think I've just decided that I want to go ahead and put another fiber in here. So I'm just going to go grab one more spool of fiber, and then we're going to get started. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm going to add a green metallic as well, and we're going to see how that goes. So the other thing that I completely forgot to mention was a needle. And so this isn't your typical sewing needle. This is a twisted wire needle. And this is a used one, which is why it's a little bit wonkety. But they're made of twisted wire with an eye on the end. Twisted wire needles come in come in 3 different sizes. They come in basically fine, medium, and heavy. I'm using a medium one. If you're just gonna get one package of twisted wire needles, because they are usually sold in packages of like 20, just get medium. It's the one that's the most all-purpose, and trust me, it's the one that's gonna give you the most utility and versatility. Okay, so I'm gonna take my 3 fibers that I'm using today, and I'm going to put the 3 of them together. So I have a green metallic, I've got a green silk, and then I've got kind of this ombre purple and teal metallic. So we're going to see how this works in the grand scheme of things, if there's even, and if you can even notice the metallic, or if it's just kind of all a generally shiny thing. So we're going to go ahead and take those 3, and I'm just going to pop them through the eye of my needle. Make sure you catch all the fibers of all of them. I got 2. There's the 3rd. Okay. And I just want to pull them through enough so that I've got a decent sized tail, just so that my beads are not going to fall off. So, you know, so what I have here is I've got my needle, I've got my 3 spools, so I haven't cut anything off my spools. I'm working off my 3 spools, and then I've got about a 12-inch tail on my needle. Now I'm going to go ahead and string what I hope is going to be enough beads to make my necklace. Now this is one of those projects where you can always take beads off at the end, but you cannot put more on. So you know, for this particular necklace, which is about 16 inches, I used, how many beads did I use? 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16. So I used about 75 beads for this necklace. So I'm going to go ahead and do about 100 beads, I think. So on these tie metal strands, you've got a 24-inch strand. So there's going to be more than 100 beads on this strand. So I'm going to cut this, and I'm just going to start stringing these up, because once again, I can always take beads off, I can't add beads on. So you want to make sure that you front load this with more beads than you think you're going to need. Otherwise you may find yourself short at the end of the project. So I see you guys out there. I have a viewer count. Nobody's talking. How's everybody? Anybody do anything exciting this weekend? What's everyone eating for dinner? I'm starving. I had a very, very boring microwave baked potato with butter and sour cream for dinner. So I'm both excited to and non-excited to hear what everyone out there is eating, because I am a hungry streamer right now. How's everybody's weather? We actually got rain in Dallas 2 days in a row. It rained yesterday for a solid 15 minutes at my house, and then it rained like properly today for a good like 30 minutes, and there was thunder and everything. It was amazing. And the temperature dropped to, like, I love how my I'm like, I have viewers and my viewer count dropped. Did I scare somebody away by, you know, pointing out that you were there? But anyway, yeah, and our temperature dropped down to 74 degrees, which is insane for August in Texas in a good way versus all the other temperatures we've been having, which have just been insane in an absolutely bonkers way. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just stringing beads onto my strand. So I've got my needle and I've got all 3 of my cords in my needle, and so I'm just taking all my beads and just threading them on my needle, pulling them down. I want to make sure that I keep all 3 of those cords in my needle because I don't want to just lose 1 or 2 or all 3. Wish I could teach my cats to cook. Random thought. Wish I could teach my cats to make sushi. God, I've been craving sushi so badly. And I want to go eat myself silly on sushi, and I have so many things scheduled that it is not in the cards for at least another 3 to 5 weeks, which is annoying because, again, hungry and want to eat myself silly on sushi. But also at this point hungry and want to eat myself silly on anything. So again, I'm going for about 100 beads strung onto this strand, and now I've made enough room on this strand that I can actually finish counting out my beads. So let's just take a real quick check of how many I already have on here, because I'm probably about half to 3/4 of the way done. 6. Excuse me.
Nope.
Right? Okay, so I've got 80 on there, so I only need 20 more. Also promise not gonna die on the stream. So just 20 more. Easy peasy. Heather, there are people on, but nobody's talking to me.
Hi, Allison.
Well, okay, but you're here, and also you work for me. You're obligated to talk to me.
I am not.
Okay, fair. I guess that's not actually in your contract.
It isn't.
So it's just a courtesy that you do me on a daily basis then.
Yeah, because I really like you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Nobody else on the internet apparently really likes me because they're the only one who's talking to me. Also, why does it say 2 of 2? That's unclear. Oh well. I don't know. I always get concerned that technology is just doing weirdo technology things. Okay, so now I've got all my beads on there. So I've got this strand of beads. Alright, that's 100 beads. I've got my 3 strings here. And I'm just going to put them over here on my work surface so that hopefully they don't fall down. I can't guarantee that. There definitely may be cords on the floor in a little bit, but just put them somewhere where they're fairly secure, but they still need to be able to rotate. So this is where putting them in like a bowl or you know, a cup or something where you can kind of pull from them and they're not going to fall down is definitely helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my button. So I've got my button and I've got still my cords on my needle. So I'm going to take my needle up through my button. What's up?
Yeah, you don't have the...
I don't have the what?
It's not turned on, so you can't see everybody saying things.
Are people saying things?
Yeah. Yeah. I came over and looked because everyone's saying things.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, but it is turned on, it's just not working. That's different. Oh. Hey, look at that. Hi, I can see you guys now. Everybody say thank you to Corvus.
Yes.
Or not to Corvus, to Heather for fixing the thing that, yeah, no, it was on, it just wasn't working. So that's amazing and sucky. But yeah, literally, like, yay! There are people and they're talking to me and they like me and stuff. Okay, well, we're just gonna keep this window up so I can see the people. Yay! Now I have to catch up though, so it's gonna take me a second. Yeah, oh my gosh, is the Loriana Corvus? Oh my god! Everybody! Sorry. That was a total technical fail, and once again, you can thank Heather for pointing it out to me.
Well, also it was Corvus who said, wait, can she see us?
Yeah, no, I couldn't. Tally Fight, you're so funny. Yay. Awesome. Hi, everybody. I don't know why this stupid program doesn't want to let me see y'all, but since everyone's pretty much in one place tonight, I'm just gonna look at it on this program and it's gonna be great. So anyway, okay, so now that I've realized that there are people out there and that they love me and that makes me feel validated, now I'm gonna continue with the project. Thank you, Heather. Oh, and hi, Ace. I don't think I said hi to you, but okay,
Well,
so
I'm here. That is in my contract. Keep you safe.
okay, so I put my cords up through. So my button definitely has, it's got an upside and a downside. So I want to go from the downside to the upside, and then from the upside to the downside, like so. And I am actually going to utilize the fact that right now I've got doubled threads here. That's gonna make this a little bit sturdier. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna make a knot. And this is where my tweezers is gonna come in handy. And yes, Silver and Tallyfet, the hot mail carrier did take away your boxes. And so there's some hot mail carrier energy that may have spooched onto your boxes. He's real pretty.
He is real pretty.
So I'm gonna make an overhand knot. That means I'm just gonna take my button. I'm gonna wrap my cords around my fingers and just push that through so that I've got an overhand knot. And then I'm just gonna take my tweezers and hold right. I love that Amy's the only one who caught that. I'm gonna hold that right. I mean, honestly, I really don't know what the mail carrier does in the privacy of his van, so I'm just speculating. That's all I'm doing. So I'm holding with my tweezers and I'm just gonna tighten that all down right at the base of my button. Alright, so at this point now, I can start crocheting. So all my beads are already on here, so I don't need my needle anymore. I am going to do a little bit of gluing before I trim this off completely, but I don't need it to be this long. So I'm going to take this here end of everything, and I'm just going to trim it off. So now what I have is 3 cords, and these are going to be my crocheting cords.
Oh, speaking of,
What?
did you do your Googling the other night?
No, I didn't actually. So I should do that in between streams. Okay, now we're going to start with a slip knot. So a slip knot is how you begin any crochet, and a slip knot for anybody who's not familiar is a knot that it basically goes like this. So you're just going to go around, you're going to pull through a loop like so, and then the idea is if I just pull on both ends of my cord, my knot will come out. So the easiest way to do that when we're doing a crochet project is we want to make sure we get it right next to this knot here. So I'm going to go around, and I'm going to use my crochet hook to grab and pull through, and I'm going to make sure that I've got my crochet hook, you see, position right next to that knot, and then I'm just going to hold that thread on my hook and pull. And unfortunately these stupid little floofy bits are wanting to invade, so we do not want invading floofy bits. So you can just get yourselves right out of there. Okay, now what happened when I was corralling my floofy bits is this slipped further away from my knot, so I just want to make sure to pull that right back down so that it's as tight to my knot as I can, and then just pull on this long string. And what I have now is I have my slip knot around my crochet hook. So now I'm going to start with my actual chain stitch. So I'm going to start with just 5 stitches straight that have no beads on them. So the way you make a chain stitch is really easy. I'm going to treat these 3 cords like one. So I'm a right-handed person, so I'm going to grab my crochet hook with my right hand, and there are 2 ways that are pretty common to grab a crochet hook. You can grab it like a butter knife, which is how I do it, which means that you're grabbing with your thumb on the front side, your index finger on the back side, and then or you can grab it like a pencil, which means basically your grip is reversed. So I'm a knife grip person, and my left hand is my tension hand. Okay, so what I have here is I've got my index finger for tension. If you want, you can double wrap your cord around that, and I've got my pinky and my ring finger of my left hand that are also helping with my tension, and then my middle finger and my thumb are holding right beneath my knot. Then I'm going to do what's called a yarn over, which means I'm going to dip my crochet hook underneath my threads, and once again I'm using all 3 of them as one. I'm going to rotate that hook so that the hook part is down, and then I'm going to, and see, I lost my grip. Did you see how that moved? Did you see how that slip knot tightened up? Okay, that is not what we want, and that's because I was not holding as tightly as I should have been. So what I want to do is I want to hold this slip knot so that nothing happens to it when I yarn over and then pull through like so. So that's one stitch, except that's not as close as I want it to be. So I'm gonna, because I'm being apparently having one of those days, I'm gonna try that again. See if I can get it to be closer. Yay, now that I see everybody, I'm glad to see everybody. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Hey Carvis, how's the weather in Cali? Are you guys gonna get any of this like rain and cooling down stuff that we're getting? Is it going to eventually waft your direction, or is it just going to go like go over the Gulf of Mexico and do its thing there? I wonder. Okay, awesome. So I stubborned it, and so now I have less space, so that makes me happy. So I'm going to make 5 stitches. So this is my stitch right here. This is the one I'm making. So to make another stitch, I'm going to yarn over, pull through. Now it's really important, this finger right here, this is what controls the tension on this stitch here. So if you are having a tense day and you are just pulling on that cord to the point where you're like making indents in your finger, you're not going to be able to do this. What you have to do is you've got to hold enough tension that you can yarn over, and then you've got to relax that finger to let your stitch actually go through. Okay, so it shouldn't be a huge struggle. So your pattern should just be yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So I'm holding tension, then relaxing. That's the index finger of my left hand. So that's all I have to do to make these stitches is yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and you can just keep doing this and doing this and doing this forever. However, that's way more than 5 stitches, right? So here is a caution, and also something you can use to your advantage if you get distracted and make too many stitches. So if you take your crochet hook out and you pull on this thread, this tension thread, what's going to happen is you're going to start losing stitches. So if you accidentally did too many stitches, that's awesome, because you can rip it all the way back if you want to the beginning. You can start your whole project over if you want. I did in fact rip it all the way back to the beginning. I didn't want to though, so I'm gonna start it for the 3rd and final time, I hope. And then we're gonna just do 5 stitches and go on from there. So that was, again, 1. The first one's always the hardest because your slip knot is going to want to shrink up. Woo! Temperature down to 98 in California. Yes, temperature actually got down to 74 today, immediately after the rain. So 1. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5. Bingo. Now I'm going to grab a bead and I'm just going to slide my bead up so that it's sitting, resting against my hook. And then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through like my bead's not even there. And then I'm going to do 5 more stitches. Make sure you catch all 3 of your cords. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can change your number of stitches based on, of course, how long you want your necklace to be, how many beads you have, and how close together you want them to be. Okay, so see, that was a screw up because I didn't catch all my all my threads. So when you screw up like that, just pull back to the last good stitch that you did and then continue from there. Alright, next bead. Trust me, this is so much easier if you use beads that have large enough holes that they will slide freely on your cord. Alright, take it from me, who's done this with beads that have smaller holes. And the smaller your holes are, especially if you're using multiple cords like this, it's gonna be a huge pain in the neck. So stick with beads with bigger holes. Trust me, it is worth it. Your availability of like bead options goes down, but so does your blood pressure. So now I'm just going to keep doing this until I finish my necklace length. Amy, you still have sunny skies and 100-degree temperatures? So then obviously this weather front is coming from the east, not the west. I mean, this is literally the simplest crochet you can get, but honestly, I've been teaching crochet for a long time, in a jewelry context. Like, I've been teaching crochet for jewelry for almost 20 years now. And, yeah, so the thing that I find is most problematic for beginners is it's this tension. It's this tension right here, and it's the holding. Because what a lot of times will happen, and I know that, like, your great granny, there are tons of different ways to hold your crochet, and you know, do whatever works for you. But what I find tends to happen with beginners is if you switch your grip from here to here, all of a sudden this whole thing becomes so much more difficult because you've got no control over the tension on this loop. Whereas if you're holding here, you do have control through your left index finger or right index finger if you're left-handed, on the tension of that loop, and then just learning to kind of relax that index finger so that you can get your stitch through, as opposed to you know, just pulling and pulling and pulling and not being able to pull that through. Yay, I'm so happy for me and our darn rain as well. It was so amazing to just see water coming down from the sky. Fantastic. Okay, so now I'm just gonna, again, keep doing this until my necklace is done. So I decided on 5 stitches in between each bead. For me, that's not counting the stitch that the bead is on, so this doesn't count as 1, that's like 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know what you're talking about, Corvus. I don't know anyone who would use such language, especially on the internet. If I were wearing any pearls, I would be clutching them right now. Okay, so once again, I dropped everything. So when you drop everything, it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt when you're doing multiple threads like this, because you gotta get them all back on your hook. Make sure you get all 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them. I mean, however many you're using. That's okay. I think the pearl clutching metaphor did its job. But thank you. You do. Okay, so I actually had a question on this project the last time I did it from somebody on Messenger, and the question was, how do you keep all of your beads on the same side of your crochet? And the answer is, you know, you do, because of the way you crochet, but what's going to happen inevitably is your crochet is going to rotate around. It's going to spin around. So yes, technically all my beads are actually on the same side of my crochet, but when I let it go, my crochet is just going to rotate freely. So it's going to look like your beads aren't on the same side, and there's really no way that I've ever found to prevent that. I do find when I put my beads closer together, like this when my sample is more like 2 or 3 stitches in between instead of 5, that the problem is less prevalent, but there's literally no way that I know of to stop that from happening. Alright, so I'm just going to keep. This is going to be a 16 or 18 inch necklace, Amy, but it could be a wrap bracelet. You just need to adjust the length. Yeah. This is, okay, so this is another problem that I find that happens to beginners, and it happens to me sometimes when I get distracted. See how far down I'm holding? I'm holding like 3 full sections below what I'm making. If I hold up here closer to it, it's going to be so much easier. So it's kind of like when you're working with wire, having that anchor point, having that point of stability that is close to where you are actually manipulating your project makes such a huge difference in the quality of, you know, movement you are able to create. So once again, I'm going to move up. It's easy when you're going fast to just kind of forget that moving up part and just kind of be like la-di-da around, you know, not around, but just, you know, kind of go on with your crochet, and then all of a sudden you're like, why is this so difficult? Why am I having such a hard time? Thought I was good at this.
I believe in you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I just have to do it right and everything will be fine.
Isn't that always the way?
Right?
That's rude. Why don't I get credit for doing it wrong? Because sometimes I try really hard.
Fair.
I mean, not to do it wrong, but you know.
You try really hard to do it right and then do it wrong anyway?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Oh, me neither. I don't know why I said that.
So speaking of, is this a necklace or a wrap bracelet? I should measure it. Okay, so once again, I dropped everything, so I'm just gonna pull back until I find a stitch that's big enough that I can put my crochet hook into it and grab everything. Awesome. This is currently 12 inches long, 4 more inches to go. Alright, now is where it becomes a speed run. I think we should start doing that on some Freeform Fridays. We should do speed run beading.
Yes.
We should pick a thing and then
I'm in.
You and I could even race.
It's true. That would be fun.
People could take bets. Could bet on who was going to win, how long it was going to take, and get discounts on future sales.
I like this.
Alright, who's in for speed run beading as being a new not frequent flyer Friday? That's completely different. Freeform Friday concept. Not every Freeform Friday necessarily, but every once in a while. I mean, we are on Twitch after all, so I feel like, again, it's appropriate.
Yes.
It would have to be a freeform though, because it's really hard to do a speed run when you're also trying to instruct.
Yes.
What are we? No, Corvus, you cannot bet your firstborn.
No. We don't
I mean,
want your firstborn.
It's actually,
also, there isn't one.
It's actually one of those betting situations where it's you don't lose anything, you only win. So you would be betting on.
It's more of a raffle situation.
Yeah, you would be betting on which, if Heather and I were racing, you'd be betting on which one of us would finish first. If it's just me, then it would be like the other night, which, by the way, Corvus, you won. In case you'd forgotten, you know, betting how long it's going to take me to finish the project, the task that I've set myself. And the prizes will be discounts for the sale streams. The only problem, so we're gonna have to, like, if we are doing speed runs, we're gonna have a, like, not do it all on camera thing.
Yes.
Because, like, the angle at which this is why I changed where my camera, or where I am, like, having to do it under the camera, it's harder.
Also,
therefore it takes longer.
Not always in the same place for freeform.
That's true, but we could still race.
That's true.
Because you could be here and I could be at home.
I be he be so.
And I be there be so. That doesn't work as well. But anyway. Okay, so I did it. That is 16 inches of crochet. So now I'm going to show you how to finish this. So I'm going to finish it with a loop that's going to hold my button. So what I'm going to do is here. Okay, so this is the end of my 5 stitches. Now I'm going to do another 10 to 15 stitches depending on the size of my button. So 1, so basically what I'm looking for is when I fold this in half, will it go around my button? And I think I'm going to do another.
I didn't hear the on part of the button word. Oh. But will it?
Alright, so then what I'm going to do on my last stitch is I'm going to come around, and so I'm just kind of have marked with my finger where the end of my 5 stitch run here was. And so I'm just going to go through, and you're going to have to kind of make an opening. There we go. So I'm going to go through that crochet with my hook, and I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to pull back through my crochet and through that stitch there. And do I have everything? Come back here. Okay, and you want to make sure that you have all of your bits and pieces. Okay, so this is what you should have. So you basically just crocheted these 2 together. Now I'm going to take my 3 cords and I'm going to trim them off, but not super flush. I'm going to give myself a solid like 6 or 8 inches of cord, because what I'm going to do now is 2 things. Number 1 is I'm going to take my 3 cords and I'm going to do 1 more yarn over, and then I'm going to pull them all the way through that loop, and I'm going to pull down on it, and what's going to happen is that's going to snug down nice and tight, and then we're going to go ahead and tie that in a half hitch knot around the base of that. I'm going to do 2 of those. So what I'm basically just doing is I'm tying this off around the base of this loop. And once again, ideally, this loop should accommodate this button, which it does. So then the last thing I need to do is I just need to glue all of these knots so that I can get rid of my ends. So I'm going to take my hypo cement and I'm just going to glue this beginning knot right here underneath my button. And you do want to make sure to just saturate that whole knot with glue. And then I'm going to glue that end knot that I just made here at the base of my button loop. Give those guys about 10 minutes or so to dry. And then once your glue is dry, go ahead and just trim off your cords nice and close to the knots. Alright, so that, sorry about the technical difficulties, y'all. I am going to restart my computer in the break. That could lead to more technical difficulties, so everyone say a little prayer for me. Whether that's before or after you put on your makeup, just, you know, pray for my technology. What?
Who else is putting on makeup?
No, I was referencing the song.
Oh, okay. Say a little. Gotcha.
So yeah, so hopefully my technology will work fine, but thank you for hanging out with us for intro. One thing, when you spread your beads out like this, a lot of times you will get kind of a wonky looking necklace. This is going to be much improved if you put a pendant on it to wear it. And if you don't want to wear it with a pendant on it, if you just hang it and hang something from it, it'll stretch it out for you and it'll get rid of this kind of weird wobbliness. Once again, that's something that tends to be much less obvious when you put more beads on it, because your beads have more weight. They'll do that for you. So I know Corvus, part of you, is saying don't touch anything. I hear you, and I am going to say right here and right now that if I am not able to stream tonight, it's because Corvus was right. I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm sorry, I've got to mess with the thing, like, cause I gotta see the things and the stuff, and like, serious. I know you don't want to be right. You might be though, because there is not no chat in this thing over here that's supposed to be showing me all the chat. So I'm gonna restart, see if I can get some chat up. Right, seriously. So in theory, we should be back in 30 minutes, so that's going to be close to 8 with our live merchandise sale. Jenny curated 5 beautiful trays for y'all tonight, so we'll be back in about 30 minutes at 10 minutes to 8 with our live merchandise sale with crystals, gemstones, glass, metal, and more. If you're going to join us for the sale, awesome. Don't forget to get comfy, get cozy, get yourself a cocktail and a snack, and get ready for some bead retail therapy in the comfiness of your living room, office, or wherever it is you're watching the Beading Dream stream. If you're not going to join us for the sale, thank you so much for joining us for the tutorial. And yes, and don't forget, we're back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream. Tomorrow at noon, we are going to be doing that project that got bumped because of the leaking water under my house last Thursday. So no more leaking water. That means we're going to be doing this trio of bronze organic bangles tomorrow at noon, and then tomorrow evening is Torch Thursday. So it's time for me to go restart my computer, get ready for the sale, and I will see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream in 30 minutes. Bye, y'all.